Mr. Rowland?
Good afternoon, Chairman Djou and council members. I'm the founder of the Grassroots Institute of Hawaii, and we have been busy with the Akaka Bill, trying to make sure that the public is educated on the Akaka Bill for the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm going to recommend that you table this recommendation or this resolution. And the reason is that no one really knows what this bill says at this point. It's been adjusted or readjusted and played with behind closed doors. And our last poll, we did a Zogby poll that indicated that 2 out of 3 residents, I shouldn't say residents, I should say voters in Hawaii oppose the Akaka Bill. And I'm not sure, well, actually, my recommendation is you just table it so that you don't have to, just don't even address it. And let me just finish with a quote from David Shapiro. It's clear that the Akaka Bill will change life in Hawaii in profound ways and confer enormous power on a relatively few people. But there's no clear explanation of what is going to happen. So with that, my recommendation is table it and leave it alone, and we'll continue our education efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rowland. Members, any questions? No questions. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Dick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Anderson.
I should have said, are there any questions?
Councilmember Anderson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rowland.
Yes, sir.
You spoke to a poll being conducted. Which poll was that?
Zogby. John Zogby did a poll for the Grassroots Institute.
Was that a scientific poll?
Yes, it was definitely a scientific poll.
What was the sampling size?
It was 400 or 500.
Okay. So the margin of error of that scientific poll was?
I don't remember, but I think it was about 2.3, something like that.
And how many questions in that poll were asked?
15.
Okay. And so what were those questions? I'd be interested to see what those questions are.
I can send them to you.
Okay. I'd be interested to see exactly what those questions are, and
yeah, and they're right up on our website, and they're up on Zogby, Zogby International, so www.zogby.com, and then the Grassroots Institute is, but I'll call your office and make sure you've got it.
check it out. Thank you very much, Mr. Rowland.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Councilmember Okino.
Mr. Rowland, aren't there many questions about the constitutionality of the Akaka Bill?
A lot.
A lot, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yes, it's I don't think there's not a 1%, there's not a 1% chance it wouldn't go to the U.S. Supreme Court.
So the general consensus by the legal profession seems to be that it is unconstitutional, right?
Well, it's controversial, so you get different opinions. But what I read is, yes, it's very, very definite. And let me add that the big problem here is we have the Akaka Bill pass, and then it'd take 3 years to get to the Supreme Court, and all of the things that happen here, the possibly disruptive things that happen, will be very, very difficult to unravel with a negative Supreme Court result. And we've already got problems. A good example of the problems that you get into when you start getting into these racial issues is a common term used in the Native Hawaiian community, a toenail Hawaiian. Implying that a toenail Hawaiian is somehow less than a full Hawaiian or something of that sort. So there's all sorts of implications here.
Is the Hawaiian community generally in support of the Akaka bill, or is there a split in the community?
Well, it's split. The separatists, they're whining, and they don't like being called separatists. They like, anyway, they are opposed to the Akaka bill because they want a separate entity. They want Native Hawaiians to become a separate entity.
Okay, but there is no general consensus that this is the way to go with that?
No, there's a very vociferous opposition from the Native Hawaiian, better term, separatists.
Thank you.
Councilor Anderson.
Mr. Rowland, in that poll that you mentioned, was it specifically mentioned, was a specific question asked whether or not respondents supported the Akaka bill or whether or not respondents supported self-determination rights for Native Hawaiians?
The Akaka bill.
Okay, so not necessarily self-determination, so the Hawaiian people's right to self-determination, just the Akaka bill.
I don't believe that question was asked.
Okay, so just
About the self-determination.
just in regards to the Akaka bill?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions, Councilmember Control? And members, I don't want to waste too much of the committee's time on this measure. We have a lot of other things on this that we could zero in questions to Councilmember Control.
Are you fully aware of the letter sent by Governor Lingo to congressional U.S. and Senate and House of Representatives?
Yes, I am.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. Well, I agree with the part that, what the governor is concerned about, as I understand it, is that there's a complete new nation formed with all of the exemptions, sovereign exemptions, without any property, without any people, without anything else, and all the actions of the leaders of this operation would be viewed as leaders of a political entity.
But the way I understood this, they will still be subject to the laws of the state of Hawaii.
Well, I would say that that's a little bit problematic. As a matter of fact, everything about the bill is problematic. I'm not sure that anybody could anticipate what the state is going to look like 10 years from now. Let me add one thing. You know, and this should be very important to you, and I'm really glad you asked the question because it brought this. You know, the problems in the United States with Indian tribes are probably 80% centered at the city-county level. The negotiations for this bill, the negotiators, 3 of them, one from the state, one from the Native Hawaiian governing entity, and one from the federal government, excludes the city council. And what has happened on the mainland is that we've got these Indian tribes that are demanding water, water service, road service, all the city services without paying for them. And so that's one of the things you really need to be doing is looking at a way to pry yourself in to that negotiation so that you're watching what's going on, because you're liable to be sold down the river.
Finally, what's the name of your organization and what's your background?
The Grassroots Institute of Hawaii is the name of the organization, and we're focused on public policy and recommending public policy and education. In this particular instance, we're in the education area mostly with the Akaka bill. I am now the president emeritus of the Grassroots Institute. I started the Grassroots Institute. My background is I was in the Army for 23 years, retired as a colonel. Then I was in the insurance business and here in Honolulu for 24 years, and then started the Grassroots Institute. So I'm semi-retired, I suppose you'd say.
Just